Couple quick tips. When you're marking your measurement, if we wanted to cut this little piece right here to 8 inches, let's say, I always use a crow's foot. So I would put my mark right on the 8, and I would put a little tick mark that way. That tells me this side is the waist. So that way, if you measured this and marked it and you handed it to someone else, they would know which side is the waist and which side they should keep their saw blade on. So you don't end up with something with the kerf on the wrong side and then you're about an 1/8 or a 16th short. So that's the first tip. The second tip is this miter box. I'm using this on my desk in my bedroom here, just in case you guys don't have like a workshop or a garage you can work in. If I was working in my garage, I would probably run 2 screws into the workbench through these holes right here. These 2 holes. And that'll hold that nice and firm. Because I don't know if you saw it when I'm cutting. It tends to slide around a little bit. You can either put a couple screws lightly through these 2 holes. If you overdrive them, you'll break it because it's just plastic. Or you can take a clamp and clamp it down to the bench, and that'll keep things from sliding around on you. All right, one more quick tip. If you haven't put your mud sills together yet, try to drive those nails on a bit of an angle because they go a little bit through there and they're sharp edges. So you can either catch your finger and cut yourself, or you can scratch up whatever surface you're working on. So this is going to be the bottom once we put our subfloor on top here. So you're definitely going to want to try and bend these over or file them off or nip them off, something like that, just so you don't scratch anything that this is sitting on. All right, so we've got our band joists in. They're cut. They're all laid out. So all that's correct. If you want to check your orientation, just make sure we've got all our layout marks are the same from end to end. And remember, this joist, if the X's are set back on this band joist, that it wants to be 1 3/8 and go. And then at the center girder, you're going to have them lapping, so they're going to be on both sides of those X's. So just bear that in mind. Make sure you've got everything in the right spot, and we're going to start to assemble these. So first thing we need to do is we need to fasten these band joists all in a little box, and then we're going to glue them onto the mud sill. So we've got our band joists all set out here. There's 2 ways you can fasten them. You can either just put some glue on the ends and use Scotch tape till that glue sets up. And you're going to want to stick the tape on this corner and then pull that tape around there pretty tight to hold these together. You should see a little bit of glue squeeze out. Hopefully your tape doesn't pop off like that. Yeah, just like that. And leave that sit for at least an hour till the glue sets up. Or you can glue and nail it. All right, so we've got a little bit of tape on the corner so it doesn't fall apart on you. And you're just going to use 2 of these little brads and some glue to hold these together. Again, do your best to keep everything nice and flush on all sides, the outside and the top and the bottom. Okay, so the box joist is assembled. I've made sure that my arrows are pointing up on both sides. And now I'm going to get ready to attach it to my mud sill. And remember, we marked, so this is number 2, number 2, number 1, number 1. that means my layout is correct for this side, the center girder, and that side. So to attach this, we're just going to use some glue and Scotch tape. We're just going to put a light bead of glue all the way around the perimeter. We're going to set this on top, and we're going to start in one corner, and we're going to tape it down nice and flush on both sides. You don't need a ton of pressure on the tape, just enough to keep it from moving overnight. Alright, and then work to all four corners, keeping them nice and flush and square. Alright, so our corners are all locked in place. They're all nice and flush. If you have to adjust them, they'll move in and out a little bit, even with the tape on. So the next step is put some tape in the middle, because these band joists may not be perfectly straight. So you want to make sure that's nice and flush on every single side. Okay, and that's it. We've got some tape on here. There's a little bit of glue squeeze out. All my sides are nice and flush. So any glue squeeze out, just clean it up with a wet paper towel. Let this sit without anybody touching it for at least an hour till that glue sets up. I would work on top of your subfloor if I was you. The only reason I'm not working on top of the subfloor is because it's easier to see the contrast between the green and the wood. Make sure when you're using your glue that you don't get any on the carpet or anything like that, because that stuff doesn't like coming out. So that's it. Basically, that's our box. Next step will be all our floor joists. We'll start installing them, and then we can start wrapping up our deck.